Hello from Clinton, Indiana. This is the Wildcat Bee Farm. It's April 25th, 2020. We went today and picked up 3 new packages of bees. As we posted before, we've lost all of our bees this winter. And so we had 4 hives and we lost those. So we ordered 5 packages to start out with 5 new hives. We'll use the same frames that are in the hives from the last bees. We'll have drawn comb. That'll make it easier for the queen to lay eggs, produce more bees, and the bees won't have to work as hard to build the beeswax. Basically what you will have is on some of the frames, you'll notice that the frame has no drawn comb on it. It just has beeswax to encourage the bees to build, and then the cells are kind of made into this plastic foundation so that they have a starting point. Otherwise, they will just start building however they want. And in the wild, in trees, bees actually will just build the comb down in the tree, kind of like a frame from this Langstroth hive. They'll kind of build like a frame, but it won't be as well defined and it won't be removable. The comb will be attached to the tree somewhere, and depending upon the shape of the inside of the tree, they will not make rectangular sections of comb either. They might, but it just depends on the tree. So last weekend we went and picked up bees, 2 packages of bees from the Clay County Beekeepers Club in Brazil, Indiana. Really happy with those bees. We've installed them in these 2 hives here, and they released the queen. So we installed them on Thursday. By Friday or Saturday, they had released the queen, and the queens are laying, so they're doing well. Those hives are doing well. So we're real happy with that. And then today we picked up 3 packages of bees from Long Lane Honeybee Farm in Fairmont, Illinois. Honeybeesonline.com. If you're interested in getting into beekeeping, there's a couple things I recommend. One, find a good mentor and local club, and you'll learn a lot from people there. They may have tools you can borrow, such as an extractor or something. The other thing is, when possible, take classes. These folks here in Fairmont, Long Lane Honeybee Farms, actually have classes that they will put on once the stay-at-home order is lifted and we don't have to worry about the coronavirus as much anymore. Very good. David Burns does a really good job on that. I've taken every class that they offer there. He's very good at that. So some of you may be saying, well, why did you buy bees from 2 different locations? There's a couple reasons for that. The bees come from different parts of the country, depending upon who you buy them from. A lot of the bees around here will come from Georgia, so they'll be overwintered in Georgia. And what they do is they'll dump a bunch of hives to get the worker bees out of them, and probably some drones and stuff. They'll put them in packages, 3 pounds of bees at a time in a package. So they'll be from different hives. And then they'll put a queen in each package too, a mated queen that has been verified that she's been laying, and that will be a good start for your hive or your bee colony. I like to get packages from different companies because they're not necessarily all from the same location. Though one company may get them from Georgia, another get them from Georgia, but they may be from different areas in Georgia. The genetics on the bees may be different. There's a couple reasons for this. One, if I had a queen die and I needed the bees to make a queen. So in other words, what happens is they'll take a cell that the queen laid, and then they'll start developing it into a queen cell, and then the queen bee will emerge. That's a little detailed. We can get into that another time. But when the queen leaves the hive to go on her mating flight, she will mate with several drones from other hives. So in other words, she won't mate with her brothers. So if it was her mother that died, from this hive, she won't mate with her brother bees, the drone bees from this hive. She'll mate with drones from other hives. Well, if all of my hives come from the same location, there's a possibility that a lot of those bees have the same genetics, and I just don't like to take a chance on that. So anyway, we're going to install this package now, and you'll see the packages will come in different types of containers. This one is a reusable package. They actually will attach on the sides to make it easier for shipping. And then what will happen is, once I'm done with these packages, I'll take them back to Long Lane Honeybee Farms. They will then get them back to whoever they get the bees from. They'll be cleaned, etc., and they will reuse the packages. It saves a little bit of money on the shipping cost. People that have the bees. It also helps reduce waste too. The other type of package that people will most commonly see is a wooden package with some kind of screen around the sides. I do have a couple of those that the Clay County Beekeepers bees came in. Nothing wrong with those packages. They're actually reusable, but I'm not aware if the companies or the individuals that got the bees in those packages will reuse those. These I definitely know. Every package of bees comes with something for the bees to eat during transit. And it could either be a can of sugar water, or in this case, it's a gel with that the bees will eat. And so now the bees are actually coming out, and they've been in this package, and they really want out, but we'll let them out in a minute. This is the queen cell, and we can shake the bees off of here. You will see the queen in there moving around a little bit. She's the bigger bee. She's not necessarily going to be the biggest bee in the hive, but she is a bigger bee than the workers. And then there are generally a couple of attendants in there, which I don't see any of this time. And then there's two holes there's a hanger that hangs this in the package, and then there are two holes in this queen cage. What happens is this top actually is folded open. They put the queen in and they close it shut, and then it it kind of latches. There's two holes. There's one with a candy plug in it. That's the candy plug. It's basically just sugar. The bees will eat through that, and by the time they eat through that and they get to the queen, they're used to her pheromones or her smell. It's not a smell like you or I know, but it's a smell that the bees know that's their queen, or they'll accept that queen at that time. By the time they get through it, if they're all huddled around her like they were, they're not really familiar with her, and if we released her immediately, they could kill her or run her off. The other hole is so that if they don't release her, they don't eat through this, we can actually pop that cover off and then release her ourselves. So we're going to set this queen aside, and we're going to install this package. Basically consists of us taking this gel out, and all the bees are coming out. And then what we do is we just dump the bees in. Different people have different methods to do this. Sometimes you'll see them spraying sugar water on the bees. That calms them a little bit. If they haven't been in the packages too terribly long, they're not real upset yet. And they have nothing to protect. So the likelihood of getting stung while installing the package is pretty slim, unless you just accidentally smash a bee and she sees you coming after her and she'll sting. And I say she because the male bees, the drones, don't have any stingers. Only the workers and the queen. And as soon as the workers sting you, they will die. You'll get stung by a worker bee once. All right, so they're not all out of there, but there's quite a few out of there. And if you look down in the hive, you'll see them down in there. So we're going to put this queen cell back in, and actually with this particular queen cell, unlike some of the others that we get that are wooden, it will fit in here with all the frames. So what we'll do is we'll put this up like this, so that between two frames, what'll happen is they'll know that queen's in there, and they'll go around and they'll smell her, everything, and they'll eat through that candy. Like I said, once they're through that candy, because they're trying to get to her, once they're through that candy, then, and they release her, then they're used to her, and that's not a problem. That's a good thing. If they don't like her when they release her, they'll kill her, or they'll run her off. So anyway, that's how we install a package of bees here at the Wildcat Bee Farm. We're actually going to leave this frame out. It's a little tight, a little tighter than what we'd like it to be. So we'll leave a little space here for now. Once they release the queen and we take that queen cage out, I keep saying cell, it's a queen cage. Once we take that queen cage out, we can shove those frames over more where they need to go, and then we'll be good. So we're going to put another box on top of this one. These are medium-sized boxes, also called Illinois Supers. So we're going to put that on there. And what will happen is they'll go up in here. We're using some old frames from a hive that didn't make it through the fall last year. They'll go up there and clean those frames out a little bit, repair the comb if it's been damaged or anything. And then one last thing we're going to do, we actually have, from one of the hives that we brought home, we actually have honey in this box. So this will be their food. So they start bringing in nectar and pollen and stuff. And then they'll eat that, or they'll move it around in the box depending upon where they need it. And then they'll start refilling those empty cells with honey. And then we'll leave that on there this year. We're not going to take any honey off these hives this year, unless they just make so much that they're filling the hives up and there's no room for the bees or no room for more honey. What happens is if they fill the hive up completely with honey, the bees will swarm. Half the bees and the queen will leave to go find a new home to live in, a new place to build a hive, start their colony over again. So that's been a package installation. We've got a couple other things we're going to throw on there. We're going to throw an inner cover on here. Some people will use them, some people won't. Basically, it does a couple things. This is notched a little bit here, and there's always an inner cover, always has some kind of hole. It's kind of to allow it to vent a little bit, moisture, heat, etc. The bees like the hive to be around 95 degrees year round, where they're at, and so this will help the airflow a little bit. If it gets too warm, they'll fan in such a way that the heat will dissipate and go out the top, or they can, or it'll help bring in cooler air. We do use screened bottom boards on our hives year round, and so there's always air flowing through. So there's air that's being drawn in the bottom and pushed out the top. If you notice on this top cover here, we don't slide it all the way back. It's made such that there's room for a little bit of gap, and that's for airflow, moisture, etc. And then we'll throw a block on top of this to keep the wind from blowing the cover off. The worst thing that could happen is the wind blow the cover off during a storm. All the bees get drenched, gets really cold, and then the bees will die. Depending on how cold it is. As cold as it's been lately, if we got a good rain with that cover being off, or even if that cover was off in the middle of the night and it got down into the 30s like it's been doing, the heat won't stay in that hive and the bees could die. So a couple other things before we go here, just so you can tell. On our hives, all the hives are on stands right now. This is a stand that we got from Man Lake. Not real happy with it because it moves around way too much, as opposed to this stand here, which is a little sturdier. We're actually going to take and build a stand out of some 4x4s this year out here, so we can put several hives together next to each other, get them up off the ground a little bit higher so that it's a little bit easier to work with instead of needing to get down all the way on the ground and kneel. The other thing is we're using entrance reducers right now, and so these will keep mice out, and it will allow the bees to have less space to guard when the guard bees are working, because the bees have different jobs, but there are guard bees that will keep bees from other colonies out other than the male bees. The drone bees are free to come and go as much as they want between hives, between colonies. The female worker bees are not welcomed between hives. So we'll run entrance reducers until they get their population up, because these are packages. There aren't as many bees in here now as there will be this fall. So probably July or so, June, July, we'll be able to remove that entrance reducer, and there'll be enough bees to keep the other bees out, and it'll be warm enough we don't have to worry about mice coming in and building and tearing up the comb. But there are a couple different entrance reducers we're using. Actually 3 kinds. This one that we really like, and if you're interested, let us know and we'll get you the contact information for the individuals that make it. It's a couple of young men that were making them. If they're still making them, we're probably going to buy some more. We really like those because they're removable. All we have to do is just leave this piece here in place, and then we can remove the entrance reducer. This hive that we're going to install here shortly, this is actually plastic. It's by BeeSmart, and these are the entrance reducers here. So you see that this open area here is all that we'll leave open. This is all closed off, and if we wanted to open it up, we could turn it over and put it down like this, and that's the area that the bees would come and go, or we could leave it open like that if we wish. For now, we're going to leave it closed off. It does a couple things. Again, it keeps critters out, keeps other bees out. It will also entice the bees that we install in the hive to stay there. They won't be as likely to leave or swarm immediately, or abscond is what it's called. We've got one other entrance reducer on this other hive that we're going to install as well. This is a more common one that I've seen. You just take a screw or nail and you attach this one, and then this one slides. And so this would be an area where bees can come and go, and then this right here. So right now we'll leave it reduced so that only those 5 holes are open for bees to come and go. And you know, again, that will help out with the new bees that we've installed. So we're going to go ahead and install the bees in these other 2 hives and finish mowing around here. Another reason we're going to put a different type of stand in for all the hives so we can get them up higher so we can mow easier. But if you got any questions, feel free to post comments or send us messages on Facebook, Wildcat Bee Farm. I believe our email address is on there too. You can also email us. We'll be more than happy to answer questions. We do have honey right now. We have a limited supply of honey. We probably will not have any honey this year. Again, unless the bees just go like gangbusters and we end up with a lot of honey, then we may extract some. It's definitely way too cold to do it right now, but we have some honey from last fall that we pulled off the hives before we went into winter or last summer. If you're interested in that, it's $8 for a pound jar or $15 for a 2-pound jar. That's net weight. There's plastic squeeze bottles. Unfortunately, we cannot reuse them for sanitary purposes, but you can recycle them. They are completely recyclable, so we do encourage that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we will post more videos as we have updates. But we appreciate all of our followers, and we also appreciate those that support us by purchasing our honey products. Also, if you look on Facebook at Queen Bee, that's a side product of ours that my daughter Sarah is making lip balm, basically like tubes of chapstick or help your lips out, and they have different flavors. So check that out too if you would. But this is Wildcat Bee Farm, Clinton, Indiana. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Thank you.